Hey guys, and welcome back to ESH MedEd. You're here with me, Kopper.
And I'm Kronen.
And today we're going to be going through concussions in sport. So obviously concussions is one of those things that's being talked about in the media quite a lot. You had that Will Smith film that came out recently that was called Concussion, covering American football, and then you've got a lot of controversy surrounding the Six Nations last year and the couple of years before with, I think it was George North.
Yeah, especially George North, actually.
With concussions. But obviously it's not just one of those things that's happening at the high level, it's one of those things that can go down to schoolboy. I know both yourself and myself have had at least one concussion, if not probably several more.
I'd say definitely several more, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, that's why we're both as brain damaged as we are, though, isn't it? But obviously, like, there's short-term effects don't sometimes seem so bad, because I mean, you're talking about like what, dizziness.
So you've got so short-term effects would be you got dizziness, you got memory loss, which can be very short, which could be like 1 or 2 seconds, or can extend to maybe an hour's memory loss. Yeah,
I mean, I've had it where I was concussed, and I decided, fortunately, not to cook for myself that evening, so I got some takeaway, and I forgot that I'd ordered the takeaway before it arrived, so I got surprised when it turned up to the door.
Jeez. Other things that may happen after a concussion is nausea. I've definitely felt sick after a game playing rugby. Other things, we've gone to long-term effects of concussion. You've got you can develop dementia, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's one of the big ones.
Yeah, I've heard of definitely many retired players now complaining of gone and had dementia.
And there's lots of other little symptoms as well. That's just because obviously the thing with a concussion is it's really minor bruising and bleeding on the brain.
Yeah.
So the issue that you have with concussions, if you get lots of them, they gradually build up if they're not working properly, and you get starvation areas of the brain, which is what's causing stuff like dementia. You can get people who have manic episodes, and there's lots of ways it can develop.
Changes,
exactly.
That's definitely happened.
And it can develop in lots of different ways, but the short of it is your brain gets screwed up a little bit long term because of these little things that you do for like an hour a week, you know.
Yeah, with concussion, there's certain sports where I feel that have higher rates of concussion. I definitely know in American football, rates of concussion are very high in comparison to
badminton or something like that.
Yeah. So when it comes to these sports, like, how do you think, with regards to American football, rugby, football, how we could like reduce the rate?
Well, that's one of the things that everyone's moving towards, isn't it? So. You've got in American football, they've got all their helmets and their paddings and stuff, and we'll go into it.
Doesn't the helmet make it even worse?
Well, it makes it even worse because it gives you that false sense of security, doesn't it? Whereas it's the issue isn't the impact from the outside.
Yeah, it's the impact of the helmet on the brain.
The way the brain works is it's held in place so it doesn't shake too much side to side, but it can move forwards and back. So you've got this issue of people hitting things or getting whiplash and stuff, and what happens is the brain impacts against the inside of your own skull. It's not something hitting your skull that causes the issue. It's the fact that something hits your skull and you get that speed of momentum gets moved into the brain. It either hits the back or the front of your head, and then that's where the damage gets caused. So these helmets, if anything, are going to make it slightly worse. But I think they monitor whiplash and speed of collisions and stuff a lot more closely in the NFL now.
I think they need to bring in like a proper tackle technique. I think that would.
It was the Seattle Seahawks. I think started doing that the other season. It helped their defense as well. Like it was Now that you're actually tackling people rather than just throwing yourself at them,
diving in head
there's
first.
less chance that people could escape. But I mean, you look at rugby. Rugby's got correct tackle technique and all that, and they don't have the helmets. So people haven't got this issue.
You're still going to
running
have,
in, but you still get quite a high level of concussion in there.
Yeah.
And that's just from freak instances. Well, it's because it's a contact sport. Somebody puts their heads 2 millimeters to the wrong place.
It's a lot of like,
and you got an issue of an impact.
High-speed sport, like guys changing direction quickly. You're bound to get your head in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Even with the introduction of head guards, you think head guards do much in?
We've had this discussion privately, and we have a slight difference of opinion. I think head guards are completely useless, whereas.
I believe that the head guards are going to reduce the force of each collision that you have. So each, like, the threshold is going to be reduced. So
yeah, so you the way that you explained it to me earlier was it's the head guard's essentially almost a crumple zone.
Yeah, exactly.
For head. So it disperses the impact, not loads. Obviously, if you're going to get a massive impact, you're still going to get the same sort of effects. But with like the little small impacts, you seem to think that it will have a much more of an effect on the build-up of small things.
Yeah, I think it would negate any small minor concussions that you may have.
But yeah, and then you've obviously got the mouth guard, which does the same thing from the jaw. A lot of people think it's not to stop your teeth from getting knocked out. I always thought that was a silly perspective, considering if you get punched in the face, you're just going to lose all your teeth at once.
With the mouth guard.
With a mouth guard, yeah. They're all kept in the same place. You get these ones kept in place. If they're coming out, they're coming out. But I mean, it's to help when your jaw gets hit from underneath, isn't it? So it's your teeth hit rather than whiplashing you quite so badly. You get that dispersal of the pressure. But I mean, realistically, like how much more can you do before it gets to the point where you're actually harming the sports?
Yeah, that is true, because as much as we want to keep players safe, it is a contact sports that we're playing. So I think the introduction of the return to play protocol, the updated one anyway, especially in rugby, is probably like the best shout in terms of reducing the rate
of long-term issues. Yeah,
long-term issues with concussion. Because I know back in the day when if you talk to watch documentaries from ex-players and stuff about their experiences within rugby, football, they definitely complain of this of higher rates, because back in those days you're seen to be like a wuss if you didn't continue playing for your teammates. So even if you were concussed and you could manage to just get yourself up and continue playing, then that was what was expected of you. But we now know that it's very dangerous, and you should definitely not be playing.
I mean, I remember even for me at schoolboy level, it was if I had the symptoms of concussion and stuff, because you didn't have the facilities to have on-site doctors and stuff to do this protocol, you were going to have to go yourself to the GP to get checked and get that 2-week ban. Whereas I was always very hesitant. I mean, I say always. It was only once or twice. But I instead of going to see the doctor, I'd miss a training session, wait for the symptoms to subside, and then I'd play the next week.
I think now in schoolboy rugby anyway, if you tell a coach or anyone that you feel like you've got symptoms of concussion, you have a minimum of 3 weeks, which you have to stay away from contact before returning to play, which is, I think, a very good protocol to introduce to schoolboy level, because obviously they don't have the same level of properly trained doctors to be able to look at you. Yeah. But with could you just describe to us how the return to play protocol actually works in rugby?
Sorry to put you on the spot. Put me on the spot. Anyway. It's just I've got this detailed out in front of me. Well, as I understand it, with the return to play protocol, there's a series of tests that the physios or the doctors will put you through that work on your balance, your memory and stuff, to test whether or not you do have a concussion. Obviously, if it's quite serious and you've ended up in hospital, they have their checks, and once it's confirmed that you have it, depending on the severity, you'll have a minimum of 3 weeks. It tends to be you have 3 weeks and you go back for a checkup. And then if you've still got some sort of lingering symptoms or they're worried about it, then it might get pushed further. And you might have longer off. I mean, it was George North, I think it was a season or 2 seasons ago. He took, 3-4 months off for a concussion at one point, because he'd had 3 or 4 in a row. Yeah,
in quite a short space of time as well.
So obviously it's looking at that way of protecting a player after the fact, and they are bringing in some preventative measures in the way that you train. So I mean, we spent pre-season doing stuff where you were strengthening up your leg to reduce whiplash and stuff like that. But I think you've got to look at it really with concussions and stuff. It's one of those things with the contact sport.
It's inevitable, isn't it?
It's inevitable that you might be in the position where you get it. It's a high risk thing, and you've just got to consider for yourself whether you think that you're willing to take the risk for that sport. And if you're not, it's not the sport for you, really, is it? You move on and go to badminton or something, which I mean, I'm not going to say you won't get a concussion at badminton. I mean, some people can hit a shuttlecock pretty hard. But I mean, it's just the risk is significantly lower, and it's one of the things you got to look at. But yeah, anyway, if you guys have any other opinions on this issue, please feel free to comment down below, and please give us a like and subscribe if you want to.
Yeah, we need them.
Yeah, not that we're desperate or anything. So. No, but yeah, anyway, I've been Kopper,
and I'm Kronen,
and we'll see you again soon.